All right, man. Let's talk about the Lions and the Packers. Look like Jared Goff gave us some hope in the second round. I guess it started to rain, um, and maybe that affected his performance. I believe he had two fumbles, lost one after playing the flawless first half. Man, I mean, in the first half, Jared Goff was money, um, but eventually, Green Bay made an adjustment. Let's talk about it. That subscribe button, bell icon button, share the video. I think they made a couple adjustments. First, man, this defense is worse than the last few years. Absolutely, horrid. The defense, is very horrible, man. It's worse than both, last few Patricia years. I mean, Terrell Austin, that was a huge step backwards when they hired Patricia and fired Terrell Austin. People said, well, what happened to Terrell Austin? If you don't remember, Terrell Austin was the defensive coordinator. We had like a top 2 or 3 defense. And when he was here, he interviewed for a few coaching jobs. I think Atlanta was one over. And he went to Cincinnati, and Marvin Lewis blamed him and threw him under the bus. And for the most part, that's pretty much what happened to his career going to the Bengals. I mean, Jesus, he was unfortunate enough to coach here and then go to Cincinnati on top of that. I mean, that's career suicide. That is career suicide. I'm sorry, I just got to be honest about this organization, man. And under Terrell Austin, I think the biggest mistake was them firing Terrell Austin and hiring Matt Patricia. That was a huge step backwards for our defense and our franchise. And before him, at least, under the Jim Schwartz days, in the early Jim Caldwell days, they used to have really good 4-down linemen. They used to breed defensive linemen with Sammy Hill. If it was Llewellyn, George Johnson one year had a huge year. I mean, they consistently used to breed linemen going back to Porsche, Luther Ellis, and even Sean Rogers and so on. We used to breed disruptive, play the run, play the pass, rush the passer, defensive lineman, and for the most part, with Patricia, that ended that when Ndamukong Suh left. That ended that for real. And then Patricia passing up on Aaron Donald, and they said they passed up on Aaron Donald because he was too small. But our continued on point tonight, once again, we just didn't have the pass rush. We didn't. So I was just so good. I like the half and half too. People tend not to like the half and half. I like the half and half just as much as these, but they end up with a few sacks tonight. But some of them sacks came from 2 different other levels other than defensive line. And Brockers Williams got a sack, and I think somebody from the defensive backfield or linebacker got a sack. The linebacker's terrible. Jamie Collins, he's slow. Trey Flowers, he's slow. He keep getting caught on the inside. I mean, who else you got? And Alizoni, he sucks. He's just too slow and can't make a tackle. And Elefantu, whatever his name is, he was doing pretty good until that Devontae Adams back thing. He was right there stride for stride with Adams, till he got injured. He was doing pretty good. I mean, Harrison Walker sucked booty cheeks. The linebackers, all of them sucked booty cheeks. I think at one point they put in Jalen Reeves-Maybin. A linebacker had 4-down linemen at one point, and they had Reeves-Maybin playing on the outside, or Reeves-Maybin playing on the outside. Man, the defense is all the time worse. I mean, it's worse than 1-16. It's worse after they went on 16. It's the worst I've seen, even with Matt Patricia. And you think about it, what's the difference between this year and last year? They going to 3-4. I mean, you took a struggling defense, and then you take most of the same struggling players. You put a new scheme on there. Come on, I think they was better staying in the base 4-3 and letting them figure out. But early on, it was just bend, don't break. That's what it was. It was bend, don't break. And in the first half, that's what they did. They held Green Bay to 2 touchdowns, one in the first quarter, one in the second quarter. Detroit did a very, very good job of holding the possession and keeping it out of Aaron Rodgers' hand. And Rodgers and them, they started to kind of keep it out of Jared Goff's hand. But that's because the Lions was in single high, and they took everything over the top away. And ultimately, man, Aaron Jones was the true killer of the night. He only rushed for 67 yards. He whatever he rushed for it, but he caught 3 touchdowns. And he wasn't done. He got one on the field, on the ground. So, he had 4 touchdowns. He was their offense. You take away Devontae Adams for the most part today. He did have over 120 receiver yards, but 50 of those came on that bond play, and DBs beat up, and Robert Tonyan caught the post route, and Rodgers, man, he basically damn near was 100%. And defense is the main reason that Jared Goff can't be in Stafford. It's like watching Stafford. It's a daydreaming where they play good in parts, but they can't put a full game together because he didn't get assistance from the running game today. This was the true test for the running game, and they pretty much did what they did last week. The rush is about the same. They didn't commit to the run, but Green Bay did a great job of stopping the run. So now you ask yourself, if you're thinking like me, like if they're not able to run the ball in the interior, so we kick high to the right tackle. I think that might be a thing, but this is a true test for me. Had they been able to run the ball on Green Bay, I think I would have believed that the run game is back. And we was talking about if Jared Goff might be our franchise quarterback. People talking about we should just draft defense on Twitter. I'm like, that's not how it works. Once you just think I'm gonna go all defense in the draft, that tends to backfire. You tends to pass up on great talent. I still think what I've seen from Jared Goff, I still think the right thing to do. If you see a franchise quarterback, I hate to talk about draft, you go get him. If you can't sit him behind Jared Goff and see what happens, but if Jared Goff do good and take it to the Super Bowl, Joe Flacco, shit, you trade the backup quarterback, trade the draft pick. But this shows a lot of things. They still couldn't run the ball. Historically, we haven't been able to run the ball on Green Bay, and that's been a huge problem. No matter how good or how bad Green Bay's running game is. I mean, run stop defense every year they just come in and they just pummel us, And right now they didn't do a good job committing to the run today. You can't use the excuse that they was down. It was 17 and fucking 14 at the half. We can't use it. Last week people was in the comment section. Well, we was down, and that's why we didn't. That's why we didn't run the ball. No, man, they got to run the ball. And they ain't do a good job of that today. Only thing that helped Jared Goff today was, other than some of the people that caught the passes, was special teams and the offensive line. And then he wanted to start fumbling the ball. He had 2 fumbles and lost one. And he recovered a fumble. So that's a possession. See, we got the ball first when we should have just went on defense, but that's another talk. We got the ball first. Well, they got the ball first in the after halftime. Then you give them another possession. You know what I'm saying? The defense if the defense did their job, this game would have been in striking range. When it started raining, Jared Goff started slipping out his hand and stuff. And me and Run Pride Nation said he played in Seattle every year. He should be able to hold on to the ball. I mean, true. Had this didn't start raining, I think Jared Goff would have remained hot. I say it again, if it didn't start raining, I think Jared Goff would have remained hot. Guess what? It started raining. They didn't make the adjustment. The adjustment they should have made was run the ball. Take time. What they did in the first half, Jared Goff just got hot. But eventually, Jared Goff is going to have to punt, or the Lions going to have to punt, and the defense got to make a stop, and they didn't make a stop. They did not make a stop today. And that's the ugly truth that the defense is probably going to be one of the reasons that they might go 0-17. I'm sorry. That thing but it looked like a team that can get a win here and there. It do like a team that they may get a win here and there, man. But to me, I'm not real optimistic about too many wins, but just the defense is that bad, man. It's to the point where you ask yourself, they spend all this money on the defensive line, but remember, you convert and trade Flowers to stand it up. And that's one issue. You put in some defensive linemen that ain't never really played in the 3-4 before in the 3-4. I think the number one adjustment they should make, 4-3. You put Trey Flowers in his natural position. You put Aleem and Levi Anazorki on the inside, or you could put Anazorki on the edge, and for now, you put Brockers on the inside, and I think you would be better off doing that. I think you would be better off doing that. I think you would be better off doing that, sliding everybody. Then you only have 3 linebackers, and I also think if they're going to stay in the 3-4, I think the adjustment is Julian Okora coming in for Trey Flowers. I think that's a huge adjustment. Somebody that used to standing up, somebody that can't do nothing but get better. Think about it. He can't do nothing but get better. Trey Flowers is already what he is. I think they should have told Trey Flowers just to put on weight and put his hand in the dirt, or they should have just did a Deshaun Watson, tell him to go home, and when we able to trade you and move you, we will. That's what I would have did. I mean, he's terrible. For him to be your team captain and be that bad, that speaks volumes on your talent level. And people keep giving Brad Holmes a pass and Campbell, but his team, it is what it is. I mean, I seen the same thing Stafford did over a course of time with the Detroit Lions, where he had to put so much on his plate and he couldn't put 4 quarters. That never. If Stafford put 4 quarters together, the opponent was whack. And Jared Goff today proved that he couldn't put 4 quarters. He couldn't put 3 quarters together. The rain was the difference, but he proved he couldn't because the Lions put too much on people's plate. Like for Matt Stafford going to the Rams, guess what? He threw a pick, but guess what? Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, they made several red zone stops early in that game to win that game. They made a turnover at the end of the game. Stafford getting help from different departments on Detroit. He only got help, from the receivers. Calvin, Golden Tate, Nate Burleson sometimes, Tony Scheffler, Fourier, Brandon Pettigrew. He only got help from them. And occasionally, he didn't get help from 100-yard rushers. He didn't get help from a dominant defense other than the 1 year that they played the Cowboys. He didn't consistently get help. That year, he did get consistently help from defense. But you need help from defense, special teams, the running game, the passing game, and the coaching, and you need luck. And for the most part, Jared Goff gonna go through the same traumatic experience that Matt Stafford went through, where he had to do, if they won a game, it was him either putting the team on his back. And that's what Jared Goff going through. They not strong enough. They did all that drafting the defensive line, but the linebacker core was bad. The Dave D is bad. What Patricia win last year? 4 or 5 games? I mean, that should be the standards. That should be the standard, man. And right now, man, it don't look too good, man. They not putting games together, but let's get the stats real quick before I skirt. So, let me zoom in for y'all. Zoom in. So, I mean, Jared Goff had 23 for 36. He had a pick late. Game was out of reach. He was only sacked once. I mean, 246, 26 for 36. I mean, he was the leading rusher, 46 yards. They got no rushing TDs. They got 8 carries from Swift, 37 yards. He averaged 4.6 yards a carry. Didn't get the volume. Williams he had 7 carries, 25 yards, 3.6. They just wasn't allowed to get going. Hockenson, he's starting to get the targets. Even though I felt he should have had more than 9, 1 touchdown, 9 targets, 8 catches, 66 yards. Cephas had a pretty good game. 1 touchdown early on, the first touchdown, 63 yards, 4 receptions. And Trinity Benson, he ain't on the same accord with Jared Goff. He showed him that deep ball, and ultimately, man, the turnovers came from Goff. 2 fumbles, 1 turnover, 1 pick. And Alex Anzalone had 10 total tackles, 8. Everybody on defense is pathetic. Except for the rookies, man. Everybody on defense is pathetic. Harris, Walker. I mean, and some of the interior linemen, man. These dudes suck defensively, man. But, I mean, we know what Rodgers did. They don't even need to talk about it. Look at the team stats. They had 19 first downs. The Packers had 25. They was 4 for 9 on first down. The Packers was 5 for 9. The turnovers in the rain was a big difference. We had 56 plays. They had 61. 344 yards, but they had 323 yards. 9 total drive. Had pretty much everything was damn near even. Yards per play, we were 6.1. It was 5.3. They rushed the ball. That's a big number right here. They rushed the ball 31 times. We rushed it 19. They had 96 rush yards. We had 108 just because the volume they run it in kept us honest. In the red zone, we was 2 for 2. That's 4 for 4. So penalties, we had 9 penalties for 78 yards. They had 5. That's another big thing right there, the penalties. 2 turnovers, they had none. So time of possession, 26, they had 33. So a lot of things was pretty close, but at the end of the day, we just didn't cut the cake. We had the turnovers, and Green Bay still got our number. So let me know what you guys think. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, on social media links in the description. You want to advertise your channel, video request, chop it up. Want to make a financial donation? Cash App CJ Good 313, Venmo CJ Good 313, PayPal link description. Appreciate the financial donations. Thumbs up, share the video, subscribe to the channel. One time for the one-time piece. Check out the Detroit Lions post game reaction playlist and Detroit Lions talk playlist. Like to know what you think in the comment section. Peace.